Hey, guess what? You can get the Blind Shell Classic 2 in both red and black from AT Guys. Check out atguys.com/blindshell. And also check out the accessories that we have available, like a spare battery or the Blind Shell beeps. We've got all 4 cases available as well. So check out atguys.com/blindshell for more information.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Android Unmuted. And with me, as always, I have Liz. How you doing, Liz?
I'm doing fine, Marty. How are you?
I am doing good. Thank you very much. So here at the top of the show, we kind of wanted to drop in some feedback that we got sent.
Hey, Liz and Marty, I wanted to record my feedback instead of sending it in an email because I wanted to comment on a couple of things from your most recent Android Unmuted show. So a couple things. Marty was talking about how talkative TalkBack is. TalkBack, lots of talking. And a few things. If you have a Google phone, like I believe Liz does, you can hold your hand over the proximity sensor and the thing will shut up, which is great. It's just fantastic. You do have to make sure that is turned on in your TalkBack settings. So as far as I remember, things are still the same when I was trying out someone's Pixel phone. That is the way you do it. Also, of course, Liz mentioned the 2-finger touch, which is the same on iOS. So that's really great. And then if you need to dial down your notifications and figure out which ones of those are coming in all too often, TalkBack, of course, is going to read those out. And finally, if you press the up volume together with the power button or the side button, and you hold that in for a few seconds, it'll make a little haptic vibration, and then all of your sounds are off, including TalkBack, just anything. You can't hear any sounds from the phone at all. So in case you're in a meeting, you can turn things off that way. And then the way you turn that back on is just to hold the volume buttons, up and down buttons, to turn TalkBack on. Interestingly enough, besides muting everything, apparently it turns TalkBack off as well. So that's kind of a little bit of a downside, but if you can't hear the phone, you can't use TalkBack anyway, so that works. And then finally, I wanted to say about the gestures, and Marty was saying how the gestures are not the same, and if they would just get it together and make the gestures all the same, that would be awesome. You'd be surprised at the number of gestures you use that are the same. The 1 and 2 finger gestures, a lot of them are the same. So the swipe right and left, obviously, double tap, the 2-finger touch to stop speech, the 2-finger double tap to answer and hang up the phone, and so forth, kind of like Apple's Magic Tap. The reason why the gestures are not the same, in my opinion, is because for quite some time, multi-finger gestures, in other words, 3 or 4-finger gestures, were not supported on a lot of Android devices. And so Apple, implemented those early on. And because Android didn't have that feature, then they couldn't use those 3 and 4-finger gestures. So I hope all this is helpful. Really enjoy the show. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for the feedback. We so much appreciate it. Liz, you had any comments or anything you want to talk about on the feedback there?
I do. One of the comments in the feedback was that there was a setting within the Google Pixel phone to enable the, I don't know if it's the proximity sensor or what it is, but the ability to put your hand over the top of the phone, and that will silence TalkBack. And I just wanted to report that for me was on by default. Apparently, I did not have to go into any setting and change that. And if I did at one time do that, I do not remember changing that. Full disclosure, I don't think I did anything. I think it just did it on its own. So that was a nice thing to know.
Yeah. And of course, like every Android device, they're all different. You don't know what's coming and going half the time, depending on the phone and the manufacturer. So some of you may have it turned on by default, depending on the phone, and some of you may not. So be prepared.
Absolutely. And the point about gestures being different based on multi-finger gestures not previously being supported, I completely didn't even think about that at the time when we recorded that, and I totally agree with that. I still think competition is in there somewhere with explaining why, the gestures are different. But but yes, the fact that there were not multiple fingers gestures supported, that completely makes sense as to why they're different.
All right. So moving on to our next topic. Our next topic is talking about Android with Aira. So for those of you who don't know, Android is also an option if you are an Aira user. And Liz, you worked with Aira on the Android platform, and tell us about your experience and what you did.
Sure. And before I talk about my experience, I just want to mention for those listening who may not be familiar with what Aira is what is called a visual interpreting service. So you download the app and you sign in with your account that you've created. When you choose the call option, you are connected over a remote video connection to a visual interpreter, a fully trained visual interpreter who is on the other end of the call and able to look through your phone's camera via a video feed and see what you're looking at. And they can help you with whatever task you might need help with, whether that is a carton of milk or yogurt or cream cheese, whatever you might happen to want to know the expiration date of. And or if you are getting out of your Lyft vehicle or your rideshare platform of choice vehicle and are not really sure where you are and just need a quick verification visually, you're pretty sure you're where you think you are, but you're not positive, you can call Aira and connect with a visual interpreter. And then the visual interpreter can then pinpoint where you are, not only on a map that they have when you call them, but also if needed, they can pull up your location with Google Maps if you give them an address. Or if you needed to navigate from where you were currently to another point of interest or destination, they can do that too. So it's any visual task that you might need assistance with. Taking pictures is another fun thing that I like to do with Aira. But so that is a general overview of what Aira is for those who may not be familiar.
Yeah, for those who may not be familiar, here is a couple of things. So yes, Aira is a paid service, but there are ways to use it for free. And some of those options are there's different organizations that participate and you get a few free minutes. There are locations that you can go where it is free. For example, like many different banks. There are Target that you can shop both online and in the store. And what this means is if you go into the store, then you can call Aira and they can help you locate items in there or identify items in there, and it won't cost you anything. That's something that Target pays for their customers. You can also shop online. So if you go online and you're searching or do anything that Target has to offer, for example, then you can do that online as well. There's lots of places that do this. The newest one actually is Walmart. So Walmart now is a free place that you can use Aira to help find things within the store and navigate around and do all those things. And there's many other options. So, airports and things like that. So yes, it's a paid service, but there are many other ways that you can use it for free. So my best suggestion to you was to contact them or look at the app, and there's different things in the app that will guide you through and let you know what is free and paid. So with all of that being said, Liz, let's hear about your photo experience.
Sure. And one more comment on the Aira Access offers, as they're called. One of my favorite Aira Access offers is through the Smithsonian Access offer. Particularly, you can go to the National Zoo website and look at the live animal cams. And as far as I know, the pandas are back at the National Zoo. And so the panda cam should be a thing again. It wasn't for a while because the pandas were gone. But they have other cams. The only one that comes up to the top of they have an elephant cam. And they have a naked mole rat cam.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Wow.
Yes, but panda cam. Anyway.
If you're into mole rats, I guess there you go. You can check out live mole rats.
Yes. So my experience with the Aira app on Android was seamless. I installed the app, and it honestly took me a little bit more struggle than I was expecting to enter my phone number. I don't know why. I was doing everything correctly, and other digits were entering themselves, despite my being pretty sure I had only entered the digits that I wanted to enter. But aside from that, I was able to enter my telephone number, find the code on a different device that they sent me as a text message, put it into the app, and that then logged me in. I was able to call a visual interpreter, and the visual interpreter was able to verify that my camera on the phone was working and that the visual field of view was actually pretty good. I took a picture of the cityscape outside of my balcony door, and then from that photo, even before the picture, the visual interpreter said that the angle just from the camera and the brightness of the colors and things like that were very, very noticeable. And so I took the picture and was told that there was no degradation in the picture quality and things like that. Because I was curious, then contrasted that with taking a picture, and my Google device of choice is a Google Pixel 8a. And then my iPhone that I currently have is an iPhone 16 Pro. And because I was curious of the differences, if any, between the cameras, I took a picture of that same cityscape with my iPhone's camera, and the visual interpreter was able to tell me, and I was surprised by this, that the pictures were very, very similar, but there were definitely subtleties in the difference with the picture that was taken from my Pixel. The colors were a little bit brighter, and on the outlining edges of the picture, especially. So the person mentioned that it was not anything to be completely concerned about, really at all. It was really subtle, and it was something that I was surprised about, and I don't know that I was expecting one thing over another in terms of an outcome, but it was just an interesting piece of information that after I was informed of that, I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but the experience in and of itself was very straightforward. I ran into no difficulties, and then the call ended, and I had the feedback rating screen. I did notice that there was what appeared to be an unlabeled edit box. It did not say the label of the edit field first, so that was interesting. But I don't know if that's due to what the app or Android or whatever it might be, but it didn't degrade from my experience in being able to successfully use the feedback screen to submit feedback and the interaction.
Well, it sounds like a fun experience. So, it's always interesting to see what the difference in technology in terms of hardware is going to be, depending on what people consider, what range, whether that's price point or whatever you want to say, on different devices. But it's very sort of telling when you have what they would call maybe the lower end or affordable end or barrier to entry on something like a Pixel A is kind of where they're putting that, in that $300 to $500 range cost. So you're not going to get every single bells and whistles. You're going to get kind of like the basic everything what you need. But then you also take something that's like an iPhone 16 Pro, which is upwards of, $1,000 or more, depending on, what phone you get, what model, all that stuff. But that's like a flagship premium, top tier phone. So to be able to take a picture like that and really not be able to tell that much difference, that's pretty telling to me anyway.
Absolutely. And as I said, I don't think I was expecting anything one way or the other, but I will say that for all the hype that Apple gives to its cameras, when the visual interpreter mentioned to me that the picture taken on the Pixel was a little bit brighter and things like that. It was surprising in a way. If anything, I would have expected the pictures to be, on par, I guess, and have it be, similar, but without the, like, I would have expected that the brightness and things like that on the iPhone would have been on the same level as on the Pixel, but apparently not.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see how things progress in terms of cameras and all this fun stuff. So, all right, moving on to the next topic. So you have a second topic you'd like to talk about?
Yes. I also explored the voice recorder app on the Pixel, which is called Recorder. And I successfully recorded a voice memo and found the microphone quality on the internal microphone to be very good. I then saved the recording, and there is not an option once you're recording to play the recording prior to saving it. So you do, to my knowledge, have to save it. And then you can play it at that point. My next task after playing and saving a recording was to figure out how to share a recording, because that's helpful if you have recorded something that you want to share with someone else, and you need a way to do that. And that was accomplished. I had to locate the title of the recording and then perform a one-finger double tap and hold gesture. And the Pixel emitted a slight haptic vibration and then a little bit of a sound. I can't accurately describe it, but it did make a sound. I was then brought into a menu. It doesn't explicitly say that, however. And the interesting thing to me was that to locate the options on the screen, some of which were delete and share, and there may have been one other option that I'm blanking on at the moment, I had to do a one-finger flick left gesture to move backwards. And that's not something that I would necessarily have expected and thought that I would have had to do in terms of the expected user flow of that. I was expecting a menu opens, I'm going to navigate forward to see what options are there, but that was not the case. But once I did find the share option, I was able to activate that. And then there was an option I had. The pre-selected option was to share the audio, which was in M4A format. There was also an option to share a transcript, and then I could choose one or both of those and then share it via email, messages, other options that I had on my phone. But so it is possible within the Recorder app to share a recording, which is a very helpful thing.
Sweet. Sounds good. So there is the recorder for you. And one thing that might be interesting kind of to do is something similar like you did with taking a photo, is take an audio recording on your phone and then take an audio recording using something like voice memos on an iPhone, some kind of a current model iPhone 15, 16, let's say, and see what the audio quality compared would be. That'd be an interesting thing, kind of similar to what you did with the photos.
Stay tuned for a future episode.
There you go. So I will talk about a couple experiences that I have had with the Android platform, which have been actually frustrating. So the first thing is, they load up depending on the manufacturer and all that good stuff, buyer beware, travel at your own risk, whatever you want to say. They put a ton of bloatware on these phones. Every Android seems to just have a ton of bloatware. And what I mean by that is third-party software, just everything under the sun, every social app, every whatever app that you can think of. It is just loaded up. If you were to go through and you were to remove a lot of these third-party apps, you probably would open up a lot of hard drive space on your device. So food for thought there. If you're looking to open up some hard drive space, go through all the apps on your phone and delete all the ones that are just buried in there that were on there when you got the phone because someone decided, hey, you need this app, and this app. So, open up some hard drive space and delete some stuff that you don't need. That would be a good idea. Now, the other thing about this is when I'm navigating around, it is incredible how much I hear unlabeled. And of course, you don't know what that is. Is that an app that is, a main app that's supposed to be on the phone that was actually like, a practical real app that's supposed to be on there, like email or whatever the case may be. If it just says unlabeled, you have no idea. I mean, you would think, oh, just delete it. But if you're taking the chance of deleting something you don't know what it is, then that can be a great thing on one hand and kind of sketchy on the other hand. So, for people like us who depend on, text to speech, make sure that things are labeled. I mean, that is, accessibility 101. Make sure that your app can even tell you what it is with a screensaver. I mean, with a screen reader. Michael, edit that out. It would be great if, the app can tell you what it is with a screen reader. I mean, that's super important, fundamental to accessibility 101. So pretty frustrating. Number 2, the other thing that's super frustrating is I've been trying to work with the Google Assistant. You hold the button and you ask it a question, whether it's where a coffee shop is, the local coffee shop, or maybe what the weather is outside, or any of those basic things. First of all, I couldn't get it to talk. I would invoke the assistant. I would ask it a question, and then it just is dead. There's no audio whatsoever. The only way to find out what kind of information on the feedback was from the question that you asked was to put your finger on the screen and try and slide it around until you come across something that's going to give you some kind of information, which is not really how I thought a digital assistant is supposed to work. But apparently that's how it does when you invoke the power button to ask some sort of question to your digital assistant. So the next thing I did was I went into the home screen and I was navigating around, and of course I came across a microphone. So then I do double click on the microphone to invoke that, and I ask it a question. Same thing. Where's a local coffee shop, or maybe what's the weather outside, or any of those things. And what happens is both the Google Assistant and Google TalkBack talk both together over each other at the same time. Ridiculous. Like, that is just the most annoying thing ever. And I can't even understand how that's even a thing. So hopefully these things get resolved. If anyone has any feedback, feel free to reach out at us at feedback@unmute.show and let us know if there's some kind of workaround or maybe something you do differently or whatever it is. Those things are pretty annoying in my opinion and should not even be a thing. So there you go. Liz, you got anything else in closing?
In closing, I just would like to say that maybe, hopefully, there are workarounds for those things and it is not the native experience. If it is, then that's a different conversation. But if it isn't, then let us know. Related to feedback, we welcome feedback. We appreciate feedback in any form, but if you do want to send verbal feedback, as the one person did and we used at the beginning of this message, hold on. At the beginning of this episode, do feel free to do that. And in doing that, we may just use your feedback on a show.
Awesome. And if you guys want to get a hold of us, you can email us at feedback@unmute.show. If you want to check out all the other things that are going on around here in the Unmute community, you can check out our website at unmute.show, and you'll see all the latest episodes there, plus a bunch of other information, all the goings on, all that stuff. So as always, we'll see you guys next month. Everyone have a good one, and thanks for checking out Android Unmuted. We'll see you next time.